Hey, Shalom. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. All the street brothers have been pushing this truth in sincerity, man. It's just an update of what's going on down there between this the future what you call it future players of this World War III, man. All right, of which China is going to be a major player in that. America is going to be a major player in that, which America is known as battling within the scriptures. Right, when you read in the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter, when you're talking about the smoking of a burning man, hey, the Chinese is going to be involved in sending over nuclear weapons over there into America so that the prophecies can be fulfilled in what it says, right? Of which one prophecy that comes to mind is where it talks about the day that's going to burn as an oven. That's Malachi, the 4th chapter and the 1st verse. All right, wherein the elements is going to melt with the fervent heat. That's 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter and the 1st verse. All right, and pretty much, man, when the house of Esau is going to be turned into stubble, but ultimately, right, we know that even though his society is going to be destroyed, Esau has to serve out his judgment, right, in slavery, and after that, he's actually going to be burnt off the face of the earth, man. He's going to be eradicated, right? He's going to be as the stubble, like how you read in the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter, right? Oh, sorry, I say in the book of Obadiah. When you read in the book of Obadiah, the scripture says the house of Joseph, right, and the house of Jacob, right, the southern tribe and the northern tribe, right, the two houses are gonna be joined together, and they're gonna be as a fire and as a flame, and the house of Esau is gonna be as stubble, man. Right, it's gonna be burnt out, man. That root of the wicked is not gonna be necessary in the earth no more when righteousness is established upon the earth. And you know what? I pray Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that day comes close, that day comes sooner, man. All right, I pray that day comes sooner. This man is coming down with a grave wrath, man. Right, whether it be the peons out there, in an environment that you're involved in, whether it be at work and you're walking about the bus and so on and so forth. Esau just wants to let loose, man. But more so, man, when he's trying to bring through that martial law that's gonna come by way of this or another major false flag, and we know the next major false flag is gonna bring about with it the RFID chip, of which you people out there in IUIC, right? I don't know if SUPK is saying that, but they probably are. Right, you better make some sound judgment and some sound decisions as to whether, all right, you believe that the mark of the beast is the chip or not, because that decision, right, is gonna be manifested pretty soon. You're gonna have to make that decision pretty soon. All right, when you're seeing all of this manifesting, when you're seeing all of this amalgamating, right, right, and we're ever moving close, and it's not even closer and closer. It's not even like that anymore. Look what the statement says. It says U.S. allies in South China Sea want expanded American presence in region. Right? For what reason? What reason does what reason does the U.S. allies, right, need more presence in the South China Sea? What reason can somebody answer that question, man? Right? Other than the purposes of furthering their agenda, which is the so-called New World Order, and they can only achieve that by eliminating any other competition. All right, that's why allies to the so-called that's why the so-called United States allies want to expand their presence within the region. But they said they were saying the same thing out there for the Russians just a couple of months ago, man. I did the video. All right, they got garrisons all the way down from Latvia. All the brothers been doing videos about that, man. All right, so what you're seeing here is the chess pieces, and we ain't talking about the pawns anymore, man. See, the pawns were out there with ISIS. All right, that's why ISIS is getting fucked up. All right, but you ain't seeing nobody kind of doing any, any spoken about damage to these battalions, if you will. Nobody's retaliating to this physically. Statements are made, all right, but no one's out there destroying them like that. ISIS were the pawns, man. They were the pawns on the chessboard. That's why they got destroyed, man. But see, now the major chess pieces now are the only ones that are left. All right, so they're gonna have to take the pieces out there. I'm not no great chess player, so when maybe the horse. I think the horse is a quite powerful player. He's gonna be put out there, but ultimately, right, they're gonna have to use the king and the queen pieces, man. All right, and that's just gonna amalgamate itself into all-out war, man. Imagine if one of these so-called U.S. And its allies, which is NATO, all right, which all are run by the U.S. anyway, all right. Imagine if one of those got hit by a submarine, right? What do they call it? One of them missiles from a submarine, man, because they're patrolling and they went too close into the Chinese borders, man. What's gonna come out of that? But who was the aggressor? All right, because they ain't gonna say no reason why they had to expand upon their presence within the U.S. But you know what? It's all the spirit of the Lord, man. The Lord is summoning up the host to battle, man. So it says tensions flaring up in South China Sea as pro and anti-Western powers vie for the waters. It says American allies are now demanding, right, an increased U.S. presence in the area, despite China and Japan agreeing to talks. Right, it says the announcements that the U.S. is expected to help Japan, right, and other allies, right, out of outcomes. Let me read that again. It says the announcements in the that the U.S. is expected to help Japan and other allies comes from the U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter, right, shortly after an American warship came in within 12 miles of China's claimed territory, man. All right, so what you're seeing there is people pushing further and further into their own agenda, right? Right, America, namely the new so-called New World Order and all of that, man. All right, and they're further pushing the buttons and pressing it, increasing the tensions. Like I said, the tensions are flaring, man. All right, someone's gonna do something erratic. All right, you better believe that someone's gonna do something erratic pretty soon, man. All right, and that's gonna be a blessing for us, man, because we don't have to live in this shithole anymore, man. All right, we ain't gonna live in this life that we're living right now, man. All right, and you know what, Lord's will, man. This thing comes quicker and quicker, man. All right. Right, so it says this has prompted strong criticism from Beijing, which put it in category of proactive acts, and says the territory is amongst the world's biggest shipping lanes, and as according to Beijing, even a small incident could lead to all-out war. Wait, let me read that again, man. All right, it says even a small incident could lead to an all-out war. All right. The world ain't gonna be the same after that, man. You ain't gonna walk so lofty, with your nose held so high, right? And your teeth clenched so tight when you see Jake. Right? You're gonna have to humble and bow. And even after that, the scripture says in the Revelations, the 2nd chapter on the 25th verse, even that you're gonna be broken as shivers, man. You'll be broken as potter's clay. And you know what? I can't wait for that. Alright? So it says attention to the disputed claims in South China, right? The prominence of those disputes is having the effect of causing many countries in the region to want to intensify the security cooperations with the United States. Carter, cited by Reuters as saying shortly before he headed to South Korea ahead of an upcoming defense summit in Malaysia, says the latter will, among other things, center development in the South China Sea, and the most notable of which is the last year has been an unprecedented rate of dredging and military activity by China. Right, it says, pretty much they go into some kind of history and all of that, but that's you might get some good bits there, but really the main bit's been hit. I ain't gonna make it longer than it needs to be. The title speaks for itself, all right. Alright, so pretty much with that, we'll say double honors to the apostles of GMS. Alright, honestly, brothers, I'll be pushing this truth in sincerity. Hey, you can see it, man. You can see it. We're coming to the point where really the headlines is speaking is going to speak for itself, man. That's the times we're coming into. There was a time when you kind of had to decipher what Esau was talking about, but hey, you got it to where here it says it's going to lead to an all-out war right there, man. Hey. With that, shalom.